Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. This was our Patreon exclusive yesterday, all about understanding your root chakra. It's the key to your beginning to move to a new phase in your ability to manipulate the realm that's all around you. In a positive way, of course.
Pretty darn important if you want to live here.
Yeah, taking control, rooting and grounding. Absolutely critical. And we want to thank our newest patron.
We want to say a huge thank you to Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb. Welcome aboard. And in case you were wondering, there are playlists. This one's the real controllers, which, what did I put after that first? AI. Yeah, AI is nothing new. 218 videos to binge watch. This is over on Evolutionary. And then this one, I think, is key for these times. This was a message from the star children of Earth's future. We've had 3 messages all in total from these kids from the future, more like teenagers, I would say. So technically not kids. But yet they wanted to share what they knew about Earth's history from their vantage point about 30 years from now. And so interesting to watch all the craziness on Earth unfold as Trump deploys 2,000 National Guard members after those protests that are still ongoing. Oh, the chaos. We've done videos saying what would be the first state to leave the Union. And of course, during Biden-Harris, one of the ones that came first was Texas, would be a good possibility. Now, if it's under, a Trump regime, would it be California or maybe New York? Oh, it is very curious. California governor and the LA mayor could face arrest if they cross the borderline. Yes, so says Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And, this is really getting testy when you're watching everything happen. And I go back again, if you're into binge watching, to the video I did. And it was my second time I uploaded it because it got taken down the first time in 2017. But I uploaded it again in January of 2018, in which I shared visions that came to me back in the 80s. And what did I see? It looked like we were in some sort of civil war, and there was some sort of invasion of the U.S. ongoing, and then there were drones everywhere watching everything we do. Now, this was back in between 83 and 85, so I didn't really understand the drone part like I do today. Again, drone warfare is the leading edge of warfare nowadays in this particular time period. So you have Governor Newsome is threatening to commit criminal tax evasion. His plan to defraud the American taxpayer and leave California residents on the hook for unpaid federal taxes, so says Bessent. I would warn state officials, including payroll managers, that federal law attaches personal liability to an attempt to evade or defeat tax instead of committing criminal tax evasion. Governor Newsome should consider a tax plan for California that follows the Trump tax cuts model and reduces onerous state tax burden to allow families to keep more of their hard-earned money. Again, this is all from that system that ultimately is truly it is a burden on the planet. And the entirety of the system loves to get us to take one side in the system instead of saying, let's throw the whole system down the toilet. Yay!
That would be my vote.
Yes, and here you have robot. These are National Guard, by the way. They look like the Boston Dynamics robot dogs that are patrolling. They have what looks to be some sort of camera mounted and something else. I don't know what it is. I don't think it could be a water cannon at this point in time. At some point in time, maybe they'll have lasers or some sort of stun gun attached. I mean, I really don't know what's attached to that robot dog. But this is the now. This was kind of a crazy vision of the future from the 80s that I had seen. Literally what I saw was eyes in the sky everywhere watching every single person, which we already have in China, for the most part, and we have here too. If you're jaywalking, you all of a sudden, get demerits taken out of your national credits in your, it won't really be a bank account anymore per se, but, again, and you'll have demerits on your social credit score. This is where we're heading right now. This is where we are heading. Elon says the most entertaining outcome is most likely, and people are trying to figure out, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? Does he mean the riots? Is that what he's talking about? Or the relationship between him and 47, which feels like it's scripted by the WWE and Vince McMahon?
It's a pretty good script, yep.
Thousands, meanwhile, are rallying in London demanding welfare, not warfare. Demonstrators have accused the Labour government of deepening poverty while ramping up military production. Accused? That's exactly what they've been doing. I mean, they will give us a straight face and tell us we are doing it all for you when they are greasing their pockets and impoverishing the vast majority of the world. The 99.9%, life is getting more challenging. And the 1/10 of 1%, well, they just, they got to find more places to store their wealth. Life is hard being in that club, but that club is a club that has karma coming back. And karma, you don't escape karma. If you do this lifetime, you won't escape it in the next. It is truly the payment system of incarnating. And meanwhile, I got to say, again, while there's some misguided stuff in there, this is a great place to start. It's the fact that why they keep raising the amount of money spent on warfare, and stop saying national defense, because it's mostly used for offensive purposes, and ultimately it's offensive against humanity and the planet in its entirety. They just think everybody's an idiot, and they've worked really hard to dumb down society, but there's still people that get it.
I see it as there's a whole lot of mechanics out there, a whole lot of toys, so there's a whole lot of grown men who get to play a lot of fancy games and at the expense of us, and it's not going to get any better until it's forced, until somebody really stands up and says, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. But who? But what? But when? It is going to be some type of a karmic pushback, and I don't think that's too far away.
No, and again, if not in this life, then absolutely. This is truly, this is so obviously a system that is set up to fail when it comes, talking about the well-being of the planet and the taxpayers, quote unquote. Again, this taxation with no real representation, because they only give us the semblance that they're listening to us, and they do nothing for the majority. The only problem that we have is the entirety of the system. This is the entirety of, it doesn't matter if we are on the left or the right, if we are communist, capitalist, socialist, fascist, whatever, it's all their system, 100%. It's theirs. This has been set up to basically ensure that we are always divided, fighting each other while they reap the benefits. And again, it's the people like Keir Starmer and all the ones that really came before him too, that are part of the club, and they get initiated into the club. We understand that. They are very, very dark beings to ever want to take part in a club like that. It's really very, very dark, and the system is dark. John Levy did a video today again talking about energy, and there's no reason for us to even be using the quote-unquote fossil fuels, which aren't really fossil fuels when you get down to it. It's not that that's dinosaur blood. It's just decomposing biomatter, because again, Saturn's moon Titan has more fossil fuels there than we do on Earth. So, you either got to admit to the fact that there's life on Titan, has been, or you got to realize and recognize that the terminology is not really appropriate. Again, dissolve the UN, dissolve the WEF, the WHO, all these power structures, which will be dissolved because ultimately their time is almost expired. Again, what we have gotten was, from this standpoint, right about now, maybe about 10 more years. I think 2035 is a key time frame. Hopefully we could change that and shorten that time frame and shorten their ability to control the masses. As you see here, he's exactly right. The intermittent energy subsidies are going to make rolling blackouts the new norm across the entire company. This is Representative Chip Roy talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. You backslide 1 inch on those IRA subsidies, and I'm voting against this bill because those godforsaken subsidies are killing our energy, killing our grid, making us weaker, destroying our landscape, etc., etc. The reality is, there are patents out there, and there are people out there that have made engines that could run on anything from seawater to any sort of biofuel. Again, we don't have to have this energetic system in place. This energetic system has been given to us from Rockefeller Inc. as a method and a means of controlling humanity and controlling, again, the monetary system. So absolutely, we do need a new monetary system. And again, they're going to try to take control of whatever it is that ends up being put out there for the masses. We have to look to alternatives. Meanwhile, you have cyber specialists of GUR have shut down Russian railway services. Cyber warfare, rolling blackouts, tornadoes, hurricanes, all sorts of things. What are we watching here? What we're watching is a herding. This is how you get sheep back into the pen. If you look closely here, you'll see some writing. And again, this right here is from the U.S. Army, prepping for their 250th birthday parade. Soldiers from the IIAR Mortar Corps are transporting tanks and other military vehicles for the Army's 250th birthday parade. What does it say there? What did some soldier scribble? Or was it a soldier? AHANG, Sickle Maker, and Gil Bates. Oh, is that a message for the masses? Again, we're all waiting to see true justice because it has not been served.
I don't know. I wish I could have a birthday party. They would spend that kind of money on me. It'd be fun. I'd invite everybody, and everybody would have their own pony ride.
Wow. Well, hey, happy birthday to you. Yeah. Cindy's birthday is coming up, by the way. Because we keep getting all these promises, and we don't see anything major happen. I mean, we do have things that are changing, absolutely. But where you see one good thing, you see, two things that go off in the wrong direction, such as, we saw them start to do some auditing and whittling away of excess government with Doge. But we all know how that turned out. And yet we're still asking, what happened? What really happened with exposing the Gilligan's Island, names, the people that wanted to take that trip to Gilligan's Island. And, you know what I mean. Start with an E. Nothing. How about auditing Fort Knox? Where's the gold? We're going to look at that. We don't know. In fact, there's a bill in there to audit now because we don't know. Nobody ever tells us anything. But that's because all you're watching is an illusion. It's been an illusion the entire time. Yet, those that are not in the club outnumber those in the club, again, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe millions to one when you really get down to it. This is a panic looked on people in Chile at a Chilean radio station as a quake shook during the live broadcast. Oh yeah, again, the Earth is getting ready for major changes. She has to sweep away ultimately this system and the residue from this dark system that's been in place during the entirety of the Kali Yuga. So back on the 6th, we had a 6 point, actually I should say, well, I'm starting here with today, we have a 6.3 up in Colombia, pretty close to Bogota. And then down here on the 6th, we had a 6.4. So pretty equal energy right there, moving upward. Again, it seems like most experts would tell you that Cascadia and the San Andreas are long overdue. In fact, when I look at these are the major quakes 4.5 and over in the last 7 days. It's dead quiet. So, again, we put out our prayers that when the energy is released, people will be able to escape any sort of harm. Work on building your intuition. Again, become a patron and learn more about your root chakra, how to ground and how to attune to earth. So just like the animals, you'll know when it's time to move out of a certain place. You'll know. And then also you can put up a protective bubble around you to protect you against any sort of harm. This is a quote-unquote magical technique that really is just common sense when you're out of the dark Kali Yuga. The dark Kali Yuga has been one in which we've had these dominant major religions that basically blame everything on humans, all the problems of the world. They're very narcissistic, abusive, and it's time for us to take control of our lives. Recognize that there are powers over here. This is Lieutenant Colonel Dwayne Arnson. Now, he held a top secret SCI clearance at one point in time, and he confirms UFOs have disabled nukes. He talks about a time back in the 60s that a UFO did, in fact, shut down several missile silos. This was up in Montana. And just went by, shut it down just to say they could. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Shine the light of the sun upon yourself, receive those golden rays, and watch your DNA be healed.
Indeed.
Absolutely. We got this. Are you guys ready? Starseeds, light workers out there. It's time for you guys to shine your light.
On your mark, get set, go.
As always, we welcome you on Patreon. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.